Welcome to the Miss Esquire Podcast, a community that truly believes that your network is your net worth. I'm your host, Rahysa Vargas, and the founder of Miss Esquire.
I'm Trish Widowfield. I'm the vice president of Miss Esquire and your co-host.
And we always love starting by thanking our sponsors for every single episode this season, which is Littler, a worldwide, it's actually the largest in the world, employment law firm.
We also have professional interpreting associates who provide interpreting and translation services across all fields.
And today we have two incredible guests that we're excited to share with all of you. Two of our amazing members. Trish, who's first?
Today we have Estrella Gonzalez, who is a founder and partner at Wald, Gonzalez and Graff, a personal injury law firm, and she's also a member of our Miami 2 chapter.
And today we have Vicky San Pedro, which is a co-founder of Abogadas 305, which is also a personal injury firm, and she is a member of our Doral chapter. And thank you so much both for being here. We're excited. Trisha and I were like, this is going to be a fun episode.
Absolutely.
So no pressure.
None whatsoever.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
What I love is that you're both personal injury attorneys and you're like, yeah, of course we'll sit together. But I thought it would be like a great opportunity to kind of have two very different perspectives on an industry and obviously interview you guys and see where you guys have come from. And I always love starting every single conversation in our podcast. We say started from the bottom, now we're here. My dad and I have had a conversation, and I've mentioned this in every single episode, that he told me the reality of the overnight success really took 20 years. It was never really overnight. So what do you both think, and this is a question for both of you, what do you think was the most instrumental seed that you planted early on in your career that has led you to where you are today? Whoever wants to go first.
Go for it.
That's a deep question
I know.
because I've practiced a very, very long time. So I can almost go in eras in my career.
Yeah.
But I think landing with the right firm at the beginning and getting
Right.
the mentoring, that was instrumental. And I see that now more than ever because now my son's an attorney and I don't see him getting the same mentoring I did.
Right.
Because everybody's virtual, no one's in the office, and they have to figure it out. So I think landing with the right firm and two guys that really, really were instrumental in showing me the ropes and in mentoring me. And when they didn't pay attention to me, I still remember this to this day. I would go in there, I'm about to commit legal malpractice. I need you to listen. I need you. And I had their undivided attention.
I bet you did.
For me, it was having a female boss. She's now a magistrate judge in the Southern District of Florida. But I saw her and I was like, I need to be her. And the counterparts around us, I didn't feel were like her. No one could articulate the arguments as well as she could think of the arguments as well as she could. And I just took it upon myself. I was like, if I want to be like Marty, which Marty, I'm giving you a shout out here, Judge Elfenbein, if I want to be like Marty, I have to do it on my own. And that was like the seed. I saw her and I said, what do I have to do to be like her? And that was basically what kind of kickstarted my career, my ascension, and eventually starting my own practice.
I love it.
Nice. So one of the reasons that we wanted to have you both on is you're both personal injury attorneys, but you're also, and you said it, eras, you've been practicing for eras. So
For sure.
You've come out at different times. And Estrella, if you could talk to us about some of the challenges you faced and give us kind of the flavor of what practicing law as a female personal injury attorney was during those early years.
Well, it's not only a female personal injury attorney, it's a Latin female personal injury attorney at another layer. And when I would show up for calendar calls, they thought I was the stenographer or the court reporter.
Right.
I still do that, by the way.
Yeah. That still happens to you.
But I would be in the Dade County Courthouse and I would get into an elevator and I would be the only female there.
Mm.
I would go to a calendar call. I would be the only female there. I would sit down in front of judges who have hearings and they would call me honey.
Oh, my.
Yes. So it has changed a lot. Now, if you fast forward 3 decades and a half, you see that the majority of the judiciary is now female.
Mm-hmm.
You see that the applicants for law school is the majority are female. So I'm very happy to have pioneered an era for female and opened the doors because we are incredible.
Now, it's funny that you said that you were the only female in the Dade County Courthouse because I've practiced against you back in my defense days. And I will tell you, like, Estrella walking through that courthouse is like a rock star. Like, everyone knows her.
Literally has the most perfect name because Estrella in Spanish, for those my gringo friends,
Thank you.
it means star, and she is literally a star in a courthouse. Which I'm gonna let you say what you need to say, and then I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say.
No, everyone from the bailiff to the judges,
Yeah.
everyone knew who she was.
Yes.
And I feel like you just really helped everyone elevate their own game.
Yeah.
Well, thank
But
you.
I was going to mention, so I also practice against Estrella. Fun fact, both of us have practiced against Estrella. But that wasn't my case. It was somebody else's. She was on maternity leave, and so I had to take over her dockets. And it was actually one of the best things that happened to me because it was Carolina's case. And she's like,
learning moment.
Yeah, it was a learning moment. And, they just threw me in there. They're like, you're taking over her cases because she just went on maternity leave yesterday. I'm like, oh, okay. So I went into a hearing with her and I was like, this is going to be, it's already going to be awful because it's not your case.
Right.
And second, but there could not have been a better person to have been an opposing counsel at the time. Not because we won, because we didn't, but because she was so nice. And I don't think that most of the time I think you embody what it should look like to litigate. And I love that about you because when we went in, a lot of times adversary, they think that you're like their opponent. Like there's like something like, guys, we're doing our job.
Adversarial, unnecessarily adversarial.
And I was like, we're just here to do a job,
Right.
And after we finished our hearing, she's like, do you want to go grab coffee? And I'm like, sure. I don't even drink coffee at the time. I was like, let's go grab coffee.
Have children then.
Yeah. And so we walked across the street, we just talked. But as we're leaving, everyone's saying goodbye to her. I'm like, she is
right.
And then after, when I got back, I was like, Rob, my old boss, I was like, who is she? And he's like, oh, she's going to get a lot of money from all of her kids.
I remember that moment to this day because I didn't know you, but I had been in your position. I had been sent down to a hearing, not my case.
That sucked.
I knew you were going to lose, but you gave it your best try. But I remember telling you, I'm like, you're going to lose, by the way. And you're like, no, I'm not. So I remember being put in those shoes, and I would have appreciated somebody taking me by the hand and say, it's okay. It's okay. You're going to lose some, you're going to win some, but the way you do it is very important because you're building your reputation, and that you cannot lose ever, because once you lose it, you don't get it back.
And what I think is important is we all have to have first off, sometimes we're doing whatever our boss has already instructed us to do on a case.
Marching orders.
Yeah. But I think it's a learning lesson, like you said, because you're not every single hearing we're going to have, we're not going to win, but from those you get better. And I think that's important. But I think one of the best things that happened to me in that hearing for sure was getting to know you. And then fast forward, who would have known you were going to be in this group? So I was like, what? This is going to be awesome.
So I told Rahysa, I was like, who we should invite? We should invite Estrella.
Yeah. You're talking about the chapter?
Esquire,
yeah. No. And I was like, I know her actually. Yeah.
I remember.
That was awesome. What was the question that we were asking Vicky too?
So Vicky,
well, we're talking about starting our, what kind of prompted you to start your firm, and kind of Estrella had all these decades of experience and really had a different experience, right?
Oh yeah. Wait, I do remember what I was going to ask you because I had a specific question for you. Okay. First off, Abogados 305, I think is genius. When she came up with Abogados 305, I was like, okay, who is this woman? I need to know her because marketing wise, that's phenomenal. And I think genius. And I love that you and your co-partner came up with it. But obviously, yes, you're coming in a totally different time than Estrella, and also with a totally different idea and marketing, because I know I've spoken to Estrella many times, the business back then, and we'll get into that, was totally different than it is now. People were by referral. And I think most of our clients are going to send us a lot of referrals too, but it's very different, especially in the personal injury space,
right,
where you're seeing billboards and things. Yeah. So tell me how Abogados 305 came about. Why did you guys think about it? What was the strategy? I love it.
So for me, I kept seeing all of these billboards and I was like, how do the people in Miami even pronounce half of these names, right? Because it's law firms from West Palm or from outside of Miami, but we are a primarily Hispanic demographic. So at the time that we started the firm, 70% of native Miamians spoke Spanish over English. So for me, it was like, okay, how do I reach that demographic? And I guess that was my business background before I went to law school. It was okay, let's start tailoring. I want to cater to the local Miamians. I'm not here trying to start America's largest law firm. I'm trying to start the most Miami law firm, I guess is the way you can describe it. And that's how it all kind of came about. And for us, we wanted to lean into the fact that we are Hispanics, that we are local from Miami. Our logo is from Miami for Miami, right? We want to serve our local community, but at the same time, we want to kind of build on things that we've learned outside of Miami. My partner and I went to law school outside of here, and it was a very different experience for Hispanics outside of Miami than it is here. You were saying being a female Hispanic personal injury attorney, even in Miami, it's hard. Outside of Miami, it's unheard of. Absolutely unheard of. I went to school in Tampa and everyone was like, tone down your accent, change who you are. And when I came back here, I didn't want to do that anymore. I didn't want to tone down my accent. I didn't want to change. If I wanted to wear a pink blazer to court, I want to wear the pink blazer to court. I don't want to just wear black and white and mute myself. I was tired of being muted. So I kind of really leaned into like my roots.
You have an accent? I didn't know. It's funny because like when you're in Miami, you have no idea that people have an accent. You're like, we have an accent? Like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about?
I get insulted when they tell me that. What do you mean?
So tell me a little bit about, obviously, one of the big takes for us, I mean, Miss Esquire started originally on Facebook, and social media has been a big part of our industry. So tell me a little bit about, and for both of you, I mean, I think this could be for both of you, what do you think have been the challenges and also the benefits of like coming into a world and starting your business when social media is like so big right now?
The great thing is you're able to reach a good amount of people with minimal, I guess, spend, right? Because if you're trying to do like Google ads in our space, you're spending tens of thousands of dollars a month. And it is like a drop in the bucket for them.
Right.
And you're barely reaching people. And the people that you're reaching aren't really the people that you want to reach versus social media really transformed that for us, right? We got to hit our target demographic. We got to speak to them in the language that we wanted to speak to them in. So like if my ad wants to be in Spanish, my ad can be in Spanish. If my video is in Spanish, it's in Spanish. So for us, it's opened a lot of doors that I think we would have been prohibited from doing if we would just had traditional advertising means.
Do you feel like there's also challenges that come with it though?
Oh, absolutely. Misinformation.
True.
A lot of it, right? And even like holding ourselves accountable, right? Like I don't always generate the scripts of what's coming up in our social media posts that we're generating. But like if one comes out and I don't like it, I immediately delete it. I have a conversation with them. I'm always reviewing the content itself because it's important to be legally correct.
Right.
And sometimes you have a lot of non-legal people generating content for lawyers and they're giving misinformation.
Now, Estrella, you don't have a website.
I am my website. I have a walking website. I think it's because
Did you guys ever have a website?
No. When
my
we
gosh.
talked about it,
You need a website.
Yeah, we came into this 30 something years ago, 36 years ago. There was no thing as the internet. So you say the drawbacks. Well, obviously, if I would be in today's market, I would definitely have a website and definitely market it differently. But one of the joys of being a personal injury attorney is having that one-on-one connection with your clients.
Right.
You know, and I think that you lose that personalization when you have websites because you are targeting a whole audience as opposed to a person. So, you know, luckily I am more on the end of my career and I still want that personalization. Whether or not I have a website, I'm working on it, believe it or not. Because, you know, if you can't beat them, join them type of deal.
Right.
But luckily I have established enough of a reputation and have such a great client base and referral base that I haven't had to use it as often as other people that are just starting because that's the way. And it's crazy. I mean, I'm never home, but when I am home and I turn on the television and I hear 1,000 of these commercials and I'm driving down the road and all there is personal injury advertisement. At one point, it was illegal to do that when I started. I mean, that was like unheard of. It's how dare you? But no, you know, I still think that there is a market for it, obviously. And if I would be entering it now, that's the way I would go. But I still love my grassroots approach and talking to my clients and knowing, you know, calling them for their birthday and them calling me for my birthdays and special events. And you lose that.
Yeah, you're right.
And for you, I mean, the website would be more of, you're not using it to like go out and get clients, but it's more for validation.
Yeah.
Like people who have heard of you will look you up.
Yeah.
Correct.
And I think, and listen, you know, I love you. And I think we've spoken about this many times.
I'm a dinosaur. What can I say?
Because, you know, for those that don't know, I mean, I sent a lot of cases to Estrella. How much money have we closed? Do you know? Have any idea?
Quite a bit. Some of them are confidential, but you know, it's
don't worry, I'll
big.
Well, but I was gonna say, like, you can just Google us today and you know who she is.
Yeah.
Like her landmark verdicts don't go away just because she doesn't have them on a website. Like, that's just more power to her.
But I think so. Some of the newer clients that we've had in the last recent years, they'll be like, I'm like, oh no, we're gonna co-counsel with Estrella, and they're like, oh, does she have a website? I'm like, listen to me right now.
She doesn't need
People have websites that are not going to get you 6 figures. Okay. We do not need a website for her. Okay. But I think, I think our generation, people are constantly like, there's so much research that people just want to get validation. They want to get an answer within seconds. I mean, that's why ChatGPT and AI has been it's like people are trying to get an answer.
We got our first referral from ChatGPT the other day.
For ChatGPT.
Wow.
Yeah, someone was in the area. They had a fall, and they asked ChatGPT they wanted a personal injury attorney who spoke Spanish, and ChatGPT sent them to us.
Oh,
so it worked out perfect. So
I love it. I think everyone in their career has like one case that's impacted them or shaped their career. I don't know if both of you want to share one that comes to mind that totally has changed your life. I know for me, when I first started practicing personal injury, I knew for sure I kind of wanted to be in that industry, even though my industry has evolved and I do something else now. But I will never forget the case that we got to try and win, and how much you get to change and impact someone's life. So I hate when people are like, oh, you guys are ambulance chasers. I'm like, no, there's so much to what we get to do and the community we get to serve. And obviously Trisha is a medical malpractice attorney, so I get to hear a lot of the worst stories of the people whose lives she's radically changing. But tell me a little bit about, obviously not the client's name, but an impact or story that you can remember somebody's life you guys have changed.
I have a case involving a traumatic injury to a toddler. Child wasn't even speaking other than like mama, papa, and had young parents. And when they called me, I was just like, as a young mom myself, I was like, I can't believe that this happened, because it happened in a place where they trusted their son to be taken care of. And can you imagine that phone call and that feeling? Like, I was literally like trying not to cry on the phone when they were explaining to me what had happened to them. And my goal was just like, I need to make this right. Like, and that's part of the reason why I started my practice as a personal injury attorney. I think a lot of us do is we want to serve others. Yeah. And like, especially when it's a child who can't advocate for themselves, and even the parents can't necessarily advocate for their child in the way that we can. That has been, I think, my life-changing case in terms of like, wow, I can make an impact even in a toddler's life. It doesn't even have to be an adult, someone who's been gravely injured. Like, it happens at all ages. It happens to newborns. I mean, it happens across the board. And that for me was the moment that I was like, this is why I got into what I was doing.
Yeah. And I'm sure for the parents also, it kind of gave them not closure per se, but like,
Oh, like the mom and I, like we talk all the time. And I think it helps that she's like, oh, you're a young mom. And part of the injury, you had to understand a product that young children use. And I had a 2-year-old myself. And I was like, oh, that's because they didn't use the warmer correctly. And you have to use it this way. And this is how it works. And the dad was like, oh, you really do know this. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm a user of the same product. I have a child of the same age, range. So I think that even having my life skills and my life experience as a mom helped me to get the outcome that we were able to get for them.
That's great. Esaya?
Well, I've had a few, as you can imagine. There's 2 that stand out. I'll talk about one. And it was a 16-year-old who was in a Suburban on the 3rd row. And as a result of the accident, he got ejected and landed on the sidewalk with his head against the sidewalk, and he became a quadriplegic.
It's terrible.
Okay. He was an all-star in his baseball. He was a starting pitcher. His mom was a single mother of 3. And the day he went, he was in a coma for like 3 weeks, and he was airlifted to Jackson. And the day he had that accident, she stopped working.
Oh, wow.
Okay, because she wanted to take care of that child.
Right.
And fast forward, yes, there was insurance on the other side. Yes, there was liability coverage. But that was the easy part of that case. Anybody could have done that. Any attorney could have done that. I found a way to hold the insurance company in bad faith.
Right.
And it took a lot.
Wow.
But that child, who's now a man, who has graduated from FIU, who works out every day, and he's a constant reminder. And I tell this to my kids all the time. He would love to do what you hate to do. So do it, He is an inspiration. What a great reward. It wasn't, I was very blessed to have him in my life, because anytime I'm having a bad day, I think of him. And I shout out to him, and we talk, and his mom never worked again, because I was able to give them the financial security. And I'm saying work outside the home. Mm-hmm. She works every day. She bathes him every day.
Of course.
She drives him every day. But I was able to give her the the financial security and the emotional security. The day she's not here, he will have enough money to be tended for. And that, to me, when you impact a family like that, you don't, those ambulance chaser comments are like, oh no,
I know.
oh no. I help people in their worst moments.
Yes.
And unfortunately, the only time they think of us is when they're in those moments, but then we become heroes. And these life lessons, I share them down the road, because first it was careless. I had a teenage boy in the same high school, actually.
Wow.
So to me, I will never forget that case and the way I have impacted that family. And we're still friends and family. They call me for my birthdays. They've invited me to the baby showers of the sister. It's just amazing. It's such a rewarding, besides the financial part, it's such a rewarding profession. And I love what I do. And I'm passionate about it because I love it so much.
Yeah.
And I love helping people.
Well, two things I was going to touch on. One, I think a lot of people don't know what bad faith is. So in the legal, not in a non-legal sense, layman's terms. Can't even think of a word today. Yeah. Can you explain a little bit about
Sure. The insurance company has an obligation and responsibility, statutory and contractually, to make sure they protect their insured. Okay. Mm-hmm. And this particular case, they did not protect their insured. And the legal part of it was super exciting too. I gotta tell you, it's like, wow, I got them. Because they fight you tooth and nail.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They fight you tooth and nail to save a penny.
Yeah.
And this time I'm like, okay, sure. And then, boom, we were able to catch them. And I had a fantastic team also helping me. But that's what it is. They have an obligation to make sure that they settle within your policy limits and make sure you're protected. And in this particular case, they left their insured wide open. Wow. That's why it's confidential. But it's a multi-million-dollar settlement that we were able to get after a long struggle. But it was well worth it.
And you mentioned there was a second case?
There was. This is when I used to do medical malpractice. In my old firm. Actually, it was the first case we closed when I opened my new firm. So it was a very important, and I will never forget it because of that as well. But I represented a Colombian family. There were two daughters. They were 14, I think, and 15, and a young brother. Their mother had what they call sentinel headache and showed up at the hospital on December 24th.
Not a day you want to be in a hospital.
Eve, right. And she had a positive spinal tap. And there was a bleed and they misread it. So they let her go. And the next day, on Christmas Day, she dropped right in front of them.
Wow.
Okay. These girls did not speak the language. They had just gone here, did not drive, were barely enrolled in school. And they became parents overnight to their younger brother. And but for this neighbor that they had and myself, they had no one else in this country that could help them. And like I said, we were able to secure a very, very, very good settlement. And fast forward, they're now mothers. He's married. They're all successful, and they still call me and say they will never forget what I did for them. And to me, again, that is beyond, it's priceless.
Right.
It doesn't matter how many millions or that I got for them. That part is just priceless because those kids got a fighting chance for somebody that committed multiple errors, because they had her at the hospital twice and they let her go twice. And I was able to secure their future, and they're eternally grateful, as I am to them.
For both of you running your own firms, I mean, how do you make sure that you surround yourself with the right people? Yeah. The right staff, the right people, the right partners?
That's probably the hard part
Literally,
of my job. Finding good staff. And for us, it's staff that cares.
Right.
And that's something that we do a lot of soft skill, questions during our interviews, because if you're cold hearted or oh, this is just a job, you're not the right team member for me. I feel very much like Estrella and I were saying, these are our families. They become part of my extended family, my clients. And if you are disrespectful to my extended family, I will hold you accountable. You will not be working for me much longer. So I think that is probably the hardest part of owning this business, right? Is finding someone who is compassionate and who has the same love for these type of cases that we do.
Yeah. and somebody that knows your cases and knows your clients, because I don't have a number to my clients. I knew them by name, by injury, what type of accident they had, how they were injured. So I need that same support staff to have that communication, because obviously when we're taking depositions for hours. If we're in trial, so whoever's manning those phones and talking to your clients has to be the right person and handled, because they're going through a very emotional, they lose their jobs, they lose their ability to walk, they lose the roof over their heads because of these. So you have to have compassion, you have to have patience, you have to keep the conversation. We're almost like a psychotherapist at
I
times,
imagine.
like, because which ones are in the worst state. And I've had to help them even get to a psychiatrist. And when I say help them, it's not like call this person, it's like drive them there, because they are in such a bad state.
Yeah.
So
I mean, pain can do that to you. I feel like a lot of times people don't know how the effect of pain is. I mean, my husband's gone through a lot of pain, and it affects your mental state like severely. And especially some of these injury cases, they've gone through either trauma or they've lost a loved one, or, so it's a lot. It's like a grieving process, and even a grieving process in the sense that, like, if you become a quadriplegic, you're grieving your life you've lost, like everything you knew about your previous life is no longer ever going to be the same. And for me, the case that really impacted my life was somebody who also was a quadriplegic, and we had to sue a big hotel. And, being able to get a settlement, it's so rewarding, but it's like you never forget how much that person's life changed after that accident. And I think it's like we're at least doing something to give them some sort of sense of, like, it's never going to change their life, it's never going to bring it back, but at least you're giving them something where, like, you can show them that you care about them and they're going to be taken care of. And I think that's so important in this industry. But tell me a little bit about, obviously times have changed, and from when you first started, you would get your business through word of mouth, and obviously you're still part of this group and networking. So it's, I think networking's always been, we talk about how your network is your net worth.
Right.
Do you ladies feel like that has been instrumental in your career? How important has that been, that versus like the click per ad? Because like personal injury, I like to get Google to get a click per ad. I think it's like in the thousands for one click, which is absolutely insane. And I think the advantage,
closed lead. Yeah. It's like the numbers that you're talking about. And it depends on the area too. But like Miami's a very expensive area for Google ads. But I will tell you that the word of mouth referrals are usually much higher value, much more invested the client, and usually much more serious. Like those are actually the people who were like, I don't need to, I already went to the hospital and I just have to deal with my fracture, and be like, what are you talking about? You just have to deal with your fracture. Like, you had a traumatic fall. Like, this is very serious. And they're the clients that are the most reluctant to go to the attorney. But thankfully for our mutual contact, they get their way over to us. And then we are able to really substantially change their lives, right? Sometimes the people that you get on Google, they're either looking for like another opinion, or they've done this a lot and they know how the game works. I can sue the insurance company, I can get this much, and that's all I want. That is a different type of client. Those are not necessarily the ones that I go after. Right. They exist out there, and that's great. But the ones that we really want are the ones who honestly are just like so proud that they don't want to ask for help. And honestly, those are the ones that I think need the help sometimes the most.
Right.
Yeah, they start with doctora. I've never done this before.
Yeah.
That's not the type of person I am.
I'm not the type of person. Yeah. It's not about the money.
It's not about the money. Yeah. They start with that, but they feel guilty almost about filing a lawsuit and pursuing their rights.
Or they wonder if you're suing the actual person that hit them, and I'm like, you have to explain. No, they have an insurance for that reason, but they're like, wait, is the person going to be in trouble? You know what I mean? Like,
oh yes, especially that quality of a client. Yes. They're like worried about the other side. Are they going to lose something?
Yeah.
Are they going to get in trouble? Will they lose their home? How is that going to impact them? And then I love this, like, but is their insurance going to go up? I go, when's the last time your insurance went down? Because it never does.
So one of the things we were just mentioning was, marketing and the Google ads. What do you guys think has been really helpful, aside from obviously clients? I know you guys are both out there and everybody knows this today, which I think has helped, but how did everyone start meeting you, and how have you paved the way for like people? Because a lot of attorneys refer cases to me, and I'm sure that's been the case for both of you. So how did you plant your seeds, like network and grow your network?
Honestly, Miss Esquire was really helpful for me. I talked about this earlier in my spotlight, but from my very first meeting, I felt like I was welcomed with open arms, and I made such a deep connection with those attorneys that it instantly turned into referrals. It was like, oh, I have a case for you. Oh, I have a case for you. And I likewise started paying the referrals back, even though I didn't initially join, like I could just feel like I needed to be a part of this group. So as soon as the spot was open, I was like, no questions, I am joining, because I really did feel that power. And yes, I'm in other networking groups, but it's not always the same. Like Miss Esquire, I think, has a different level of commitment of the attorneys and non-attorneys who are in it. Like we have a level of professionalism amongst ourselves that like I can really feel it, even from like our translating services. I have a case right now with a Creole speaking family, but like I was preparing their demand and needed to be perfect. I was not going to rely on like, oh, so called Pat. I really need like a caring person who speaks Creole.
She's great.
And she got me exactly what I needed because it was very important. And when we had a follow-up call with the client, I'm like, can I get her again? Yes, you can get her again. No problem. And she worked around our schedule. So I really am so grateful to Miss Esquire because I really have felt the difference in my business, and the cases that we've gotten from Miss Esquire have really made the year for us.
That's awesome. You know, even I forgot.
No, actually, like,
thank you for, and now you can join, you know, and if you want more information on joining after that. No kidding. But, you know, Trish has actually gotten the highest settlements for her entire firm from Miss Esquire too, which it's interesting because the entire group, like, I truly believe when I first started this group, even though you had mentioned, and Sandrine, you mentioned that it has changed, I still felt coming into this over 10 years ago that there was still not a lot of women in positions at firms that either owned the firm, that were managing partners. Everybody that was my boss was a male. Right. And every single person I worked for was a male. And I just felt like, wouldn't it be amazing to have a group of supportive women that had done what Estrella had done, had paved the way? And how did they get there that we can speak to and also cross collaborate? And I felt like there was a need, which is why Miss Esquire was born, right? And clearly there was a need because then 10,900 people were like, we do feel that there is a need for this group. And that's been the success. We're about to celebrate 10 years of it, but there has been a need for that space. And what I love about the community is like, we're all trying to see each other grow and kind of and cross collaborate today. And I've had the opportunity to do that. And I think it's no matter where you're at, I think you've been a mentor to me. I still call her with a bunch of questions, but we're all willing to kind of, it's an abundance mindset. It's not like, it's not just about our business. It's like, we all want to see each other grow and thrive and be mentors to each other. So that's been really helpful. But tell me a little, I know you were about to say something. So,
well, I forgot what I was going to say, but Miss Esquire, to me, I remember when you guys started it and you approached me to become a member, and I said, I'm not ready yet.
Yes.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yes, I do.
And I said I wasn't ready yet because I wasn't ready to contribute.
Right.
And a lot of people, I think, become members of groups because they want to reap the rewards, but not contribute. So I said, I'm not ready. And then when I was ready, I contacted you guys. I go, I'm ready. I'm ready to contribute. I'm ready, you know, to be part of this wonderful group. I have always practiced, you know, supporting other women. And I have a cute story that a lot of people don't know about, but my next door neighbor is Marilyn Milian, was Marilyn Milian, the People's Court. Okay.
Yes.
Guess who they called for that job?
You.
Me. And I said, I'm not the right person, but I know who is.
Wow.
And guess what? She's no longer my neighbor.
But yeah, you should have gone back in time and taken it.
Well, you know what? It was right for her. She was a judge. It made a big impact in her life. And she is great at what she does. Yeah. Not that I would not have been great, but at the point I was in my career and my life, my family life, I didn't want to be flying out to California and missing 3 to 4 days of my kid's life. That just wasn't, you know, rewarding enough for me. It was the no price tag for that. But for her, she was just starting. She was a judge. I think she was even a county court judge. And it has made a world of difference. But we still talk and we're still friends. And she still helps me whenever I can. And she's always plugging, you know, what I did for her, which is amazing because this is what this group is all about. And this is the only networking group I'm a member of because, again, I don't want to spread myself too thin. I want to contribute. I want to establish relationships because I go back to the days that I used to be at the court courthouse every day.
Right.
And I used to have 3 and 4 hearings, and I knew all the bailiffs by name, and they knew me by name, and they knew all the judges by name, and they knew my name and their JA. And if I needed something, I'm like, I can't get a hearing date till such and such a date. Let me see what I can do for you.
Yeah,
That's great.
That personal contact I miss, and Miss Esquire gives you that too.
Yeah.
So,
It's great that you say that you weren't ready because you weren't ready to contribute. And that's one thing. Rez and I interview everyone before we accept them into any of the chapters.
Yeah.
And we always ask, what are you looking to get out of this group? And if they're looking to get rather than to give, they're not the right fit.
Yeah.
And you don't give to get.
Right.
It'll come organically as those relationships develop.
Yeah. I think that's why it's so important, because everyone's like, why do you interview all 200? Like, we have over 200 people in our group now, or in person. Obviously, I don't interview the 10,900 people on Facebook. The 10,900 people are just on Facebook, but the 200 in person,
Right.
it has been extremely important to me to kind of figure out, are they going to be a part of the culture, right? Like, are they going to, and oftentimes, like, we have people that, they think like they can't collaborate, or they don't want to meet the people that do the same thing. I always say I want to meet the people that have done the same exact thing that I've done better than I've done, and find out how they got there. Like, how can we learn from people that have come before us and done a really great job, So I think that's important, and we always try to find people, but that's been a part of the success.
I'm like laughing because my first one-to-one in Miss Esquire was with Estrella. So it's funny because I wanted to learn, and like when we were even preparing for this, like she was saying Estrella, I was like, I remember learning about that when we went to lunch. Like, I feel like I have learned so much, and I think that you really did foster a group of abundance, right? Like, there's more than enough for this to go around, and it's all about uplifting each other and supporting each other.
Yeah. And hopefully, I always say, if we can give 3 people's card, I hope all 3 people are in our group and one of them's going to get it. You know what I mean? Like, if the idea is that one person in our group, then we should celebrate that win, And that's been really special to kind of see. But I don't know if you guys have any closing remarks for any, and where people can find you, but I would love to end.
Not on a website.
She is not on a website, so she'll probably put her cell phone on here.
The first Tuesday of every month, we'll be at Seasons 52 having lunch.
No, but also, if you guys have one tip that you'd want to share on anybody who's thinking about starting their own business, and considering going off on their own, what would you share? And I'll start with this today, if you have anything, and then where could people find you? Besides maybe the courthouse, Miami-Dade County.
I can't wait to see the new courthouse. This is going to be great. I'm hoping that the judges go back in there so I can see people again. Like I said, I've been practicing a very long time, and I've seen this profession grow exponentially, and women are now supporting women. When I started, it wasn't that way. It was like, it was not. It was like, whoa. This is my profession. This is not my life. Let's, and not because I don't fight for my clients, because I do. So I think the work-life balance is very difficult, because especially if you do litigation, and you could attest to that. But it's doable, and it's so rewarding, and I'm so happy. I have no regrets. People, when I tell them my son's a lawyer and my daughter's going to law school, you couldn't convince them otherwise. I go, I don't want to. I love what I do. Why would I want to? I am proud of who I am and what I've done, and I continue to do, and I'm passionate about it. So no, absolutely not. I would do it all over again in a heartbeat. And have a website. You can find me. My phone number is 305-577-7778. That's my office number. And you can find me on LinkedIn. Those are the social medias that I do have. And my office is located in the Gables, and I speak fluent Spanish. And actually, 95% of my clientele is Hispanic. And I think that was, my mentor. I mentioned him at the beginning. He had a vision. Hispanic female woman in front of a jury. Yeah. And
it's worked.
It worked. That was his marketing.
Genius.
So for me, my tidbit for everyone, my takeaway would be, if you look around the room and everyone that's older than you or who's a partner at your law firm doesn't look like you, doesn't talk like you, maybe they're all men. And that's not how you see your future. Go do what you want to do. Don't be afraid to take the leap. It's a leap of faith.
Yeah.
But if you believe in yourself, you can do it. That's what I saw in both of the law firms that I worked at before I started my own firm. the higher ranks, they didn't look like me. And there was one female partner, one female shareholder. That's not what I wanted. I wanted it to be all female shareholders, all female partners. I wanted to change that. I wanted to have a daycare in the office so that we could take care of our babies, so that if we wanted to see our children while we were working, we could have the best of both worlds. So you can do it. Believe in yourselves. Take that leap of faith. And you can find us on Instagram, Abogadas305. On TikTok, I'm Abogada Vicky. And our phone number is very memorable for the 305. It's 1-877-305-3055.
Nice.
Oh.
Well, we were so happy to have Estrella and Vicky on today. And we at Miss Esquire hope that you continue to grow your network and your net worth until the next episode of Miss Esquire.
Yeah, and please comment, like, subscribe for more episodes like this. And if you are interested in growing your network or your net worth and want to be a part of our community, email us at admin@missesquire.com for more information.